My name is Andre Torres. I'm 27 years old, born and raised in Belo Horizonte. In the summer of 2021, I set off with 3 friends, Julio, Mateus, and Bianca, for what was supposed to be a 5-day backpacking trek through the Serra do Cipó National Park in Minas Gerais, Brazil. That place, it's beautiful and brutal all at once. Endless forests, thick underbrush, and ancient rock formations that look like they're watching you. We were chasing waterfalls, sleeping in hammocks, taking pictures of birds none of us could name. That trip was meant to clear my head after a breakup and months of burnout. Instead, it cracked my mind open. It was the 4th day when it happened. We were navigating through a dense section of forest, planning to take the Vale do Travessão trail, but the mist that morning was thicker than usual. The path forked. Julio swore left. Mateus insisted right. Bianca checked the GPS and frowned. I stepped away from the debate just for a moment to pee behind a tree, and when I turned back, gone, no voices, no footsteps, just trees. I called their names again and again, nothing. I wandered for hours. My water was low, but the air was cool, and I didn't feel fear at first. I had my compass, and I thought I could find my way back to the trail. But then the trees started thinning out into a clearing I don't remember being on any map. The birdsong stopped, even the bugs were quiet. That silence, it rang in my ears like pressure underwater. And there it stood, a freestanding black door. Smooth, polished like obsidian, no frame, no hinges, just a perfect door in the middle of the clearing. It didn't belong, it radiated wrongness. My skin prickled, but the handle, it was brass, familiar. I'd touched it before. I know I had, I should have walked away. But something, curiosity, compulsion, madness, made me reach out and open it. Beyond it was a hallway, no forest, no void, just a replica of my childhood home in Contagem, Minas Gerais. The beige tiled floor, the peeling wallpaper, the smell of feijão simmering from the kitchen. I stepped in, heart pounding, whispering, "What the hell is this?" I turned to look back, to scream out into the forest for help, but the door was gone. That first day inside, I tried to convince myself I must have passed out and was dreaming. The hallway was exactly how I remembered it. The framed picture of me and Enrique, my older brother, at the beach. The scratches on the floor from when we used to race toy cars. Everything was the same, but aged wrong. Like the house had been held too long underwater, then dried in the sun, distorted, heavy, damp in places that should have been dry. "Andre?" I turned. My mother stood there, smiling. She looked just as she did when I was 10, down to the dress she wore on Sundays. But her eyes were too wide. The smile didn't reach them, and something twitched in her neck. "You're just in time for dinner," she said. Another day, a memory came to life, one I had almost forgotten. Enrique and I used to race down the street every Saturday afternoon. This time he beat me like always. But as he crossed the street, a truck came out of nowhere, smashing into him. I screamed, ran to him, but my mother walked out, humming, dragging his limp body by one leg like he was a sack of laundry. Blood smeared the tiles as she smiled at me. "You always did love playing pretend," she whispered. Another evening, I found myself seated at the dining table. The scent of my favorite meal, feijoada, filled the air. But when I looked closely, it wasn't black beans and pork. It was flesh, human, unmistakable, with teeth embedded in the stew. She stood over me, hand on my shoulder, forcing the spoon toward my mouth. "Eat, Andre. You need your strength." Some nights blurred into others. The shadows in the house moved even when the lights were on. I heard whispers through the vents. At night, something knocked on my bedroom door. Slowly, rhythmically, I would lock it, hold my breath. Sometimes it would knock for minutes. Sometimes it would stop, then breathe through the keyhole. One specific night, curiosity broke me. I opened the door. There was no one there, but the corridor had stretched. It went on for miles. At the end, I saw a shape. Me, but taller, thinner, with hollow eyes. It waved. I slammed the door shut. Over what felt like weeks, I noticed more and more inconsistencies. It was always sunset or almost midnight. The clocks ticked backward. I'd fall asleep and wake up as a younger version of myself. 10, then 15, then 8, but always back in that house. Every joyful memory I ever had was now twisted. One memory stands out above the rest. I remember my father's return from a trip when I was 12. In this place, he came back with no skin, just muscle and gristle. He spoke normally, though his teeth were too long. "I missed you, champ," he said. I screamed. My mother laughed. There came a point when I gave up. I tried everything to escape. Windows only showed black voids. Doors led to more doors. I even tried killing myself. Once I slashed my wrist. I bled. But the blood was white, like milk. Then came the night the house began to burn. The flames didn't burn red. They curled inwards, devouring space, not wood. They whispered in a language I'd never heard. I ran down the hallway, the fire licking at my heels, and at the very end, there it was, another black door, identical. I didn't hesitate. I threw it open and stepped through. And then I collapsed into mud. Thick, cold, real mud. It sucked at my knees as I hit the ground, choking on the sudden light and air that wasn't tinged with rot. The sky was blue, not burnt orange, not endlessly dusk, but clear daylight, too bright for my eyes. My chest heaved as I tried to breathe. For a moment, I was certain I was dying, that this was just another trick. But the birds chirped, distant ones. The wind moved naturally through the trees, not the stale, unmoving air I'd lived in for what I thought was weeks. I looked down at myself. My fingernails were long and blackened. My beard was thick, matted, tangled with dead leaves. My shirt had fused into my skin at one shoulder. My legs trembled when I tried to stand. I stumbled out of the clearing like an animal crawling into civilization for the first time. Every sound startled me. The crack of a twig, the flutter of a leaf. When I saw the wooden outpost, a small ranger station half swallowed by the forest, I dropped to my knees and sobbed. The ranger who found me screamed when I stepped into the doorway. They thought I was a ghost, a legend. At the hospital, they kept whispering. A nurse dropped a tray when I told her my name. Doctors stared like they were seeing a corpse walk. They told me I'd been missing for 4 years and 3 months. To me, it had been a few weeks, a month maybe. But they showed me news clippings, photos, police reports, grainy CCTV footage of my parents crying on national TV. And then came the worst blow. Henrique, my older brother, my anchor. He'd joined the rescue teams early on. They said he wouldn't give up. Every weekend, he was back in the woods with volunteers, helicopters, even drones. He refused to believe I was gone. But one rainy morning on the BR-381, his car skidded off the road and flipped into a ravine. They buried him a week later, with a picture of us as boys in his breast pocket. The same photo I'd seen hanging on the wall inside that other house. The one where his smile didn't look quite right, that nearly broke me. I live back in Belo Horizonte now, in an apartment too small and too bright. Everything's sterile, and yet nothing feels clean. My family keeps me close, but I can see the doubt in their eyes. If something else came back wearing my skin. And honestly, I wonder too, because sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I swear I see it, that black door standing silently at the foot of my bed. And just before it fades, it creaks open, just enough for something inside to smile. And I swear, I hear my brother calling my name,